Hey everyone. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about one of the things I did in Colombia, but it was involving me actively being in a waterfall so I couldn't have my phone on me. And I haven't really seen anybody on the internet do this. I found a little snippet of it that I'm going to include at the end of this so that you can hear the sounds that I'm talking about. But I just didn't want to forget it because I need it for my mental scrapbook so I can remember. So I was in Colombia and we were at Rio Claro, and it was me and my friend Sam. And you walk through the rainforest jungle and you go all the way back. We walked barefoot also so that we could charge our center and get our electricity ions and such balanced, because the earth is balanced, and if you're barefoot then you can have a connection anyways. But so we go back, and then there's this river that runs through the rainforest, and there is this mouth that is the opening of a cave, and coming out of the cave is a waterfall, and on that waterfall is this rope ladder, like this, and then with the lines this way, and it is running up through the waterfall. And we were going to hike in this waterfall, splunking, there we go. And so we had to climb up this rope ladder, and it made me feel like I was in some kind of a movie or military where it's like you got to keep going or you die, because I was getting waterboarded by the waterfall, but you had to grab in the waterfall and keep going up, and if you let go, not good. So we were climbing up through this waterfall, holding your breath, closing your eyes until you reach the top, and then the water stops, and then you come above it, and then you're at the top. Then it really starts. So there's these birds. They're called oil birds in English. That's what I found on the internet. I don't remember what they're called in Spanish. But so it was like they were the guardian of a temple or something, giving Temple Run, giving Indiana Jones. They were sitting on the outside, and they're like big birds, and their wingspans huge. And in the Hunger Games when there's a scene where the birds are all flying around and squawking and it sounds like people screaming, and you know how people say mountain lions sound like a child screaming? That. So there are, I would say, hundreds of these birds in this cave, and it's pitch dark in the cave because it's a cave, and their eyes are shining red, and so you look around and it's like in Snow White when she's like all the eyes are everywhere looking at you. That plus in the cave at the entrance, these birds are flying around, their wingspans are huge, plus you're in water, plus it's deep in some places, so you would kind of have to always be swimming and ready because we had our headlamps on for light, and if it went under then you would lose your light, so you always had to constantly be swimming too because you never knew when it was going to drop off and go down. Plus, there's waterfalls within the cave, and it was slippery because it's water and rocks. So, we would have to take turns going, but really slippery, having to go up the waterfall, and it was crazy. So we had two headlamps. Each of us had a little headlamp, and this was insanity. So at the beginning of the cave, we prayed, and we just asked for protection, and that if there was any sign that we should not be in the cave, to let us know, and we would respect it and get out. That's another thing I really love about Colombia. They're very respectful of nature and the land and in tune with it. And so, anyways, we're climbing back there as one does. These birds are screaming in your ear. It is terrifying, but awesome. But terrifying because they sound like screaming children. Literally, that's a perfect way to say, they sound like screaming children. And the video I'm going to attach to the end doesn't even give it justice to how it was in person. And also in the video, the birds weren't, screaming as much as they were when I was there. And they would swoop down too and be really close to your head. Anyways, also the rushing water. But so we had two headlamps, and then we went back probably about only, I'd say, 15 minutes. We had been going back into the cave. And we were trying to reach the other side. And once we got in, I'm sorry, my headlamp died, went out. It shouldn't have been. We charged those headlamps, and they were supposed to have, I think it was 8 to 12 hours of light or something like that. 15 minutes, and mine went out. So Sam turns his onto the red light because that saves power, and we turn around because we were like, that was weird, that shouldn't have happened. Well, we get to where we have to go down the waterfalls, jump off, hold onto the rocks so when you go down you don't fall underwater. We get to where we can see kind of the reflection of the light coming through at the end. Well, right when we get to where we can see the light, God bless, thank you Gaia, guess what? His headlamp went out. It shouldn't have either. We definitely took that as our sign. We were like, don't know what huge snake or maybe person, or if the birds were gonna have their first attack that day. Don't know what was gonna happen, but I'd like to believe that we were protected by that and using that as our sign to get out of there. And we did safely, but that was an insane experience. The water was gorgeous. Also, another thing I couldn't get a picture of, we went through running barefoot, felt so fun through the forest. And when we went around this one bend, there was this huge marble cliff, like, I don't even know how many feet high, but huge, like definitely taller than a tree. It felt like in the Pandora, like the Blue People one, you know how they have like the huge floating rocks. It was like that because there were vines coming off of it and just the river, and it was this marble cliff, and it was just so pretty. And then we went through and we were running more, and it was also so humid, so like you could run like crazy because you're getting so much oxygen because it was so humid there. And the trees remind me, I haven't been, but it's what I like when you think of Sequoia National Park in California, how the trees are like the huge trees, and people put out their arms and like it's not even close to a fraction of the tree, well, you know, a fraction, but the huge trees were out there, and I was really wanting to see 2 monkeys, and we almost didn't run. And the trees were also like starfruit. You know how starfruit has like the little star things? The trees were like that, but like sitting upright. And it's awesome because the natives would use that for echolocation. They would get rocks and they would like beat on the wings. That's what it kind of looks like the wings of the trees coming off. And that would echo throughout the forest. And that's how they would communicate. We did see the 2 monkeys. That was awesome. Sorry if I repeat anything. My last video got erased. Thanks, Snapchat. Anyways, also how do you do that feature where you go like this and then it'll make hearts, you know? Sorry. Okay, marble caves. There were also marble caves in the rainforest as well. I'm forgetting what I did and didn't say now. But there were these marble caves, and it just felt super spiritual, like in the core of the earth. In Spanish, it said it, and it was beautiful. I forget the Spanish translation of it, but it was like, this is the skeleton of the earth. If you hurt it, you hurt the earth. And there were like stalactites and stalagmites in the cave and water dripping, and people had stacked up a bunch of stones and like had named it the temple. And it was really awesome to me that like other people could also feel that it was a spiritual part of the earth as well. There was also a marble cliff, and it looked like in Pandora as well, with the floating structures that they have there, because there were vines coming off of it, and then the clear river going around it. I went cliff jumping as well. There were a bunch of bridges that were hanging over the river. There was a rope that was going across from the river to one side too, so you could jump in and then grab onto it and not get swept away. We went barefoot to balance ourselves because you have negative and positive ions in your body and electricity and currents. And when you stand barefoot, you can create a current between yourself and the earth and get balanced. What else? Saw the monkeys. I didn't see these, but there was a sign that also said that otters and sloths lived in the area as well. Also at the place where there was the marble cliff, and I can't find any good pictures or videos of this, there were these rock structures that had very interesting shapes, like hourglass and like different random shapes that were in the water, and it was almost like a video game where you have to like play and dodge the rocks and stuff, but they're cool. And the rocks were all different colors as well. My friend said that I impressed him with being able to keep up with him when I was running, but I grew up in the woods, so I credit it for that, because we would like have to hop, like we would run up these different rocks and hop off of the rocks and such, and then the ground as well in some places. My feet were bruised the next day though. And then we had to ride a bus back to the city that we were staying in, and that was wild because we literally had to like go like that to catch the bus, and it was nighttime when we got off of it. And then like stray dogs kept coming up to us because there's stray dogs everywhere in Colombia, but yet somehow they're not starving because the people take care of them and they donate to feeders that feed the dogs, which I think is so awesome. But anyways, that was my Colombia adventure. I'm going to try and find the videos, but it is not going to give justice, like I said, for the sounds that were happening, because they were all by your head, plus like feeling the birds fly by your head. And also when we left the cave too, there were still the guardian birds there, and they would like look at us, and it was interesting, kind of spooky, but really cool. And also I'm going to try to find the pictures of the cliff, but I don't think it'll give it justice either. So I highly recommend Colombia for everyone. It was a great first out of the country experience.
Forming mountains many feet high and create microenvironments for other dwellers. Every night, oil birds go out of the cave and fly nearly 100 miles around to look for the fruit.